So you're getting ready for a trip, maybe. Or perhaps you just you love figuring out how things work around the world.
Hmm.
Either way, knowing just a few key phrases can really change your travel, make it, less stressful, much smoother.
Definitely.
Today, we're diving into some essential English for travelers.
That's right. We've been looking through English for Travelers, a practical guide, trying to pull out those fundamental bits of language, the things that really empower you to navigate new places confidently.
It's kind of like a phrase book, but maybe with a bit more background.
Exactly. Why these phrases work,
Our mission really is just to equip you with the English you actually need for those common travel situations.
And what's really interesting is something the guide points out is how far even basic English gets you.
Yeah, it's kind of the default international language in many places, isn't it?
It really is. A little bit goes a surprisingly long way. For making connections, getting help, almost anywhere.
It's amazing how these simple phrases can sort of unlock things when you're feeling a bit lost.
They're definitely more than just words. They're like, keys to interacting.
Okay, let's get practical then. Picture this. You've just landed, new airport, bit chaotic maybe.
Ugh.
You need to find your airline.
Right.
So a really crucial first step is knowing how to ask, where's the check-in counter?
Exactly. That one question just, boom, helps you get your bearings, starts the whole process for your flight. It's about clarity right from the start.
Okay, so you find the counter. Now what? What's a phrase you'd likely use to get things started? The guide suggests, I have a reservation.
Yeah, that one's great. It's efficient. Tells the staff exactly why you're there.
Right, signals you're expected.
Lets them pull up your booking fast. Just smooths out that first interaction.
And flipping that around, what's something you're almost guaranteed to hear from them? Airport staff, security, immigration.
No, definitely. Can I see your passport? You'll hear that a lot.
Standard procedure.
Totally standard.
Yeah.
So just being ready for it, responding calmly, helps everything move along nicely.
And then there's that question, probably nagging at you, especially if you've got a connection or, time's tight. What time does the flight leave?
Yeah.
Why is confirming that so important?
Well, knowing that exact time lets you manage everything else, doesn't it? Security cues, finding the gate, maybe grabbing a quick coffee without, panicking.
Puts you back in control.
Exactly. Control of your schedule.
All right, fast forward. You survived the flight, you're at the hotel. What's the opening line at the reception desk? Something like, I have a booking under the name, your name.
Perfect. That's basically the hotel version of I have a reservation.
Okay.
Immediately tells them who you are, that you're expected, gives them the info they need to find you in the system, makes check-in quicker.
Makes sense. So once you're getting settled, a really practical thing to know is the checkout time. You'd ask, what time is checkout?
Oh, absolutely essential.
Why is that so crucial?
Well, it helps you plan your last morning, right? Do you want a relaxed breakfast, or do you need to pack up and dash off early?
Avoids those last-minute scrambles.
Yeah.
Or extra charges.
Precisely. No nasty surprises.
Another big one for travelers, thinking about budgets or just planning the day, is about breakfast. Asking, is breakfast included?
Very useful.
What's the real value there?
It's just good for managing your money and your morning flow.
Yeah.
If it is included, great. Factor it in. If not, okay, you need to find coffee somewhere else.
Yeah, it just helps you make informed choices.
Right. No assumptions.
And for people who, like me sometimes, need a little nudge to stay on schedule, especially with jet lag, can I get a wake-up call?
The classic wake-up call. Still very handy.
When would you say that's particularly useful?
Definitely if you've got an early flight or maybe a tour booked first thing, or honestly, just if you want that extra guarantee you won't oversleep in a new time zone.
Peace of mind.
Exactly. Simple service, big relief sometimes.
Okay, let's shift gears. Food. One of the best parts of travel, right? Experiencing local food. You walk into a restaurant, first thing you need is to see the options. So the phrase is, could I see the menu, please? Why could I? Is that better than can I?
It's generally seen as slightly more polite, a bit more formal maybe,
Okay.
which often goes down well in service situations, just sets a nice respectful tone.
Good tip. Now, what if you have specific dietary needs, like being vegetarian? A key question is, do you have vegetarian options? Why be so direct?
Being direct just saves time, really, for you and for them.
Gets straight to the point.
Yeah, it clearly states your requirement, lets them guide you straight to the right dishes or tell you if they, can't accommodate it easily. No ambiguity.
Right. And then you've had your lovely meal, you're ready to head out. The polite way to signal you want to pay is, can I get the bill, please?
Simple, clear.
What does that really communicate?
It just means I'm finished eating, I'm ready for the check. It's straightforward, universally understood.
Okay. Let's think about finding your way around. Getting lost can be fun sometimes, sure, but usually you need to know how to ask for directions.
Essential skill.
The phrase, "Excuse me, how do I get to the train station?" Why start with, "Excuse me"?
Ah!
It seems obvious, but
It's just fundamental politeness, isn't it, when you're approaching a stranger?
shows respect.
Exactly. Respect for their time, their space, makes them much more likely to stop and listen and want to help you.
Okay, so you've asked, maybe they give you some directions. A good follow-up might be, is it far from here?
Right. Practical question.
What are you trying to figure out with that?
You're basically trying to gauge the distance, right? How long will it take? Should I walk? Get a taxi? Take the bus?
Helps you decide the next step.
Puts the directions into context.
And sometimes directions involve just simple turns. That's where asking left or right becomes so important. Seems basic, but
Oh, it's crucial. At that exact moment, at the junction or whatever, it just confirms the immediate next step. Even if the first directions were okay, this double checks you're making the correct turn right now. Avoids going completely the wrong way.
good point. And tying back to politeness, the guide has that quick tip. Always start with, "Excuse me."
It really does set a positive tone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Small word, big impact, shows consideration, makes people more willing to engage, just bridges that initial gap.
Okay, so we've got a good set of basic phrases. Now, how can you make actually using English when you travel a bit easier? The source has some great travel tips for English learners. First one, write down key phrases.
Ah, yes. Very practical.
Why is that so helpful?
Well, having them physically written down, maybe in a small notebook or on your phone, it's like a safety net.
Takes the pressure off remembering.
Exactly. Boosts your confidence. You can just look it up if you freeze up. It's your personal cheat sheet.
Smart. Another tip, download a translation app. Google Translate gets a mention in the guide.
Those apps are incredibly powerful now.
What are the real benefits day to day?
Oh, loads. They can help you read signs, menus. You can even use the conversation mode sometimes for basic back and forth if spoken English is tricky.
So it's like a backup tool.
Definitely a backup. And helps bridge those slightly more complex communication gaps when the basic phrases aren't quite enough.
Okay, next tip is one we sometimes forget. Use gestures.
Yes. Don't underestimate pointing.
How they help, really.
Well, gestures can often cut right through language barriers, can't they? Pointing at what you want, miming an action like eating or sleeping, using facial expressions.
It adds another communication channel.
Precisely. It supports your words or sometimes even replaces them effectively.
The guide also says, listen carefully. It points out that people often simplify their English for tourists.
That's a really important observation.
What should you listen out for?
You might notice locals speaking a bit slower, maybe using simpler words, pronouncing things more clearly once they realize you're not a native speaker.
So pay attention. You might understand more than you think.
Exactly. Tuning into that can make a big difference, even if your own English is still developing.
And finally, maybe the most important piece of advice. Don't worry about mistakes.
Please, yes, this one is key.
The guide says the main goal is just getting understood. Why is that mindset so vital?
Because the fear of making mistakes can just stop you from trying at all, right?
Yeah, you just clam up.
But communication is about getting your message across. Even if your grammar isn't perfect, if they understand what you need or what you mean, you've succeeded.
Connection over perfection.
Absolutely. Don't let striving for perfection stop you from connecting.
And building on that, there's a great pro tip. A smile and speaking clearly often work better than perfect grammar.
So true.
Why do those simple things matter so much?
Well, a smile just makes you seem friendly, approachable. People want to help someone who smiles, usually.
Breaks the ice.
Totally. And speaking clearly, even if it's slowly, just gives your words the best chance of being heard and understood correctly. It's about fostering that positive interaction.
Okay, time to put some of this into practice. We're calling this Try It Now. I'll give you a quick scenario. Someone walks up to hotel reception and says, "Hi, I have a reservation under the name Alex." What's Alex likely doing?
Okay, based on what we discussed, Alex has almost certainly booked a room already,
Right.
and they're now arriving to check in. That's the standard phrase for starting that process.
Spot on. Okay, another one. Someone asks you in an airport, could you help me find gate 12? If you knew where it was, how might you reply?
Well, a helpful reply would be clear, simple directions, something like, sure, go straight ahead, then take the first left. Gate 12 should be on your right.
Keep it simple and specific.
Yeah, easy to follow. That's the key.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it feels pretty clear that just, having these basic English phrases can really make a difference when you travel.
Oh, absolutely. It's foundational knowledge. It gives you that confidence to handle common situations, makes things feel less daunting, smoother.
Turns challenges into just interactions. And the guide's phrase, passport to global communication. I like that.
It is good, isn't it? It really does unlock possibilities, makes the world feel a bit more accessible.
Less intimidating.
Mm-hmm. Which leads to a final thought for you, the listener. As you think about your next trip, whenever that might be, just consider those moments. How could knowing even these simple phrases change things for you?
Yeah, how could it make a difference?
And maybe think bigger, too. How could just being able to communicate even basically open you up to different experiences, maybe unexpected conversations or connections you'd otherwise miss?
What new doors could a few simple words unlock on your next adventure? Something to think about.